Hey everybody, and welcome to MCM TV2, our second channel. I got something a little bit special for you. In fact, we both do. We are doing a little Q&A on the grovel. And yes, there is some Supergramp stuff coming up, but don't ever say that we don't look after you, because I'm about to give you something that not even the main channel has yet. Some of you, I know, are collecting the limited edition posters that we do. It's all of the kind of classic cars that we love, and the Honda Civic. But we have a new Supergramps one coming out. Muddy is coming in soon with the car, so we're about to interview each other and talk about some of the questions that you've had about the build. But this here is our new limited edition poster. You can hear the door going up, designed by Jess Starmy, who's a Mighty Car Mods fan. This is a mad poster. They're limited edition, only available for a limited time. Then they're never available again. I know some of you have bought them for the $40 or whatever they are, and then try and sell them for hundreds of dollars, but don't let the scalpers get them. Grab yours now. Anyway, there's a link below. You can grab yours. It's an MCM TV2 only special. All right, the grovel is in. Hello, Martin.
Did you tell him about the poster?
I told him about the poster.
First to know.
Before the main channel. Martin, we're going to sit here.
Good.
We're going to sit here and we're going to answer some questions. We put a post on Facebook that said, hey, what do you want to know? People have started posting. Now we'll give you the answers. Welcome to MCM TV2, the home for all the secondary stuff.
That's right.
That doesn't fit in the barnyard of the main Mighty Car Mods farm.
Yep.
How you doing? We put a bunch of questions, no, not a bunch of them, a question on Mighty Mods Facebook, Mighty Mods Instagram, Mighty Mods YouTube, Mighty Mods TikTok. We've got a TikTok, people.
Just everywhere, people. And
said, what questions have you got? We're going to go through each of the socials and we're going to answer some questions. I'm starting on Facebook because I'm old. Here we go. Top question. It's sorting them by the whatever. Top comment. Peter Bennett, are you going to be doing a sign poster like the other mad cars? Yes.
Legit question.
But it's for Supergramps. And the reason it's for Supergramps is that the sign posters are there for the cars that we feel are formative and super important to us. Yep. Is this? Not yet. Will it be? Possibly. But the next video on the main channel is, of course, going to be a side-by-side with the Levorg and Supergramps. And that is also, as I mentioned before in your little sneaky intro, where the main channel is going to find about the posters, but you'll probably have one by then.
Cool. So there's a bunch of comments. I'm mostly going for questions. I appreciate your comments of saying love the build and that sort of stuff, because I do too, and it's awesome, so thank you very much. A question, you mentioned, this is from Andrew Shipton. G'day, Andrew. I think we used to work in a shop together somewhere. That name's very familiar.
Did you really?
You mentioned that Subaru HQ had seen this series and made contact about the build. Any chance you can elaborate on the interest and support they gave? The guys that work at Subaru, come across them over the years just randomly. People come and go from big businesses, but they've all been really, really nice dudes. One of them just got in touch and said, it's really cool. And I said, the first question to them was, why don't you do a manual one? They said, it's a massive company. It goes back to Japan. It goes back to all the different global offices. They look at the demand, what people are buying, what people want, what they can manufacture easily, all those kind of things. And it's just into that big equation, for whatever reason, the Vorgs don't pop out the bottom with a manual. Will that change one day? Who knows? I mean, I hope it will. I mean, they've even stopped calling them Levorgs now. There's WX Sports Wagons. But yeah, it was just they just checked in to say they like it. And then, yeah, we got some parts for the Levorg as well, and they gave us a discount, so thank you.
There's a question from Brendan Matthews. I can answer some of it. Muddy, you'll probably have to answer the rest. What are the nuances of getting it registered? I thought you'd need an engineering certificate. And it's technically a different chassis from the STI. Curious, as I'm thinking of doing something similar. So when we started this build, like when we started thinking about what we're going to do, it was conceived by us that it might be possible, but that it would also just be a track car, that it would not actually be legal on the road anyway. And we were kind of like, do we want to do it? Do we want to whatever? But yes, it kind of felt like it was a good story. And only after some further investigation with engineer did Marty actually get it to a point that it could be engineered, because the chassis engineering is the same between this and STI.
Because basically it's made on the same production line, and it essentially is the same car. I mean, with a hole for a manual pedal punched in the chassis. It's not like you're actually welding two cars back into one like we did with the Mira. And even then, it kind of is the same car for that reason. Engineering-wise, we had already pulled everything apart because I didn't actually know. I didn't know. I had a feeling they were going to be the same, but we didn't know when we started the build if the cars were in fact identical. We were doing it for the experiment because I really wanted to do it, and have wanted to do it for quite a few years actually.
But we weren't sure. But we legitimately didn't know if it was going to work, and that was the tricky thing, because we started doing it and just didn't know.
And then I think the trap people fall into is they read somewhere from a forum from who knows what country, not allowed, not possible, and you go, and then that becomes the common knowledge. The best thing I can recommend if you want to do that, regardless of where you live, is talk to an engineer locally, a good one that knows all the rules and knows the things specific to where you live, and tell them exactly what you want to do. Luckily, because we had the cars in a million pieces, I was able to say, look, this is exactly what we're dealing with. And it's like, okay, it's basically a 2018 STI with a slightly bigger back on it. So that's what works for us. It may be different where you live, but all I can suggest, and I've seen a lot of questions about this around the internet, if you want to do a similar thing, check with an engineer yourself. Don't just believe what you read.
All right, I'll do a quick fire of a couple more Facebooks,
Sure.
and then we'll get on to the next one. Cooper Devlin asked, with engineering, did it have to get emissions test? No, because it's stock engine when it's actually done its thing. A few people had asked about the previous owner of the STI. We ended up speaking to him. He was fine. We didn't use that in the video because we thought that wasn't really fair, and he didn't want to, and so, that's fine. He's alive and fine. Like, that was like, it was like we didn't buy a car that someone had passed away in. What did the back seats taste like? They tasted like that guy's gym socks. Ask me how I know. That was from Michael Callagis. Any mystery wiring things that we didn't see during the build that stumped you guys or Miles during the swap?
So part of the reason we wanted to do this as well, to answer a few questions like this, was there anything tricky with the wiring? No. All the wiring colours match. When you take it all apart, you put everything side by side, you see very, very slight differences. But when you look at all the plugs are identical. Some of the plugs are populated differently. So all me and Miles did, and we did say that in the video, but I didn't want that video to go for 3 hours, was just like purple wire with a stripe, move. Black wire with a stripe, rinse and repeat. It's very, very straightforward once you get it apart because the cars are of a similar generation. So there's nothing very tricky about it at all.
AJ Whitaker, lots of Super Gramps inquiries here. So here's a Gramps related question to freshen things. Once you said the ultimate goal is power in excess of Super Gramps. So I'm curious what the desired horsepower is. Just keep an eye on the next video and keep your eye on the Mighty Car Mods channel. All I'm going to say, Martin, Super Gramps is still around. Super Gramps is registered. Super Gramps is working. There were a couple of issues that we had on the track, and by we, I mean he, because some oil and bits and pieces were coming out. He's an old man. He's a little leaky sometimes, but it's around and it's working.
Stock engine, people.
You'll see it driving in the next episode of Mighty Car Mods.
Question here from Dylan Blore. How'd you go making the steering wheel buttons work with the iDong? So the cool thing about the iDong and lots of stereos like that, they come with a system that interfaces from the steering wheel. And it's just a learning computer. So it's got a screen on there, and it just goes, press and hold the button you want, tell us what it does. So you press and hold volume up, press and hold track forward, go, but you can actually assign it to anything. So you can make that go to home or launch CarPlay or whatever. Pretty cool system. A lot of modern stereos that are based on those Android things. Some are good, some aren't. Work pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with the one that's in it. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good.
Any musicians out there or people with studios that have ever done a MIDI CC learn from a plug-in to a controller keyboard? Same thing. So choose your filter cutoff or whatever, then touch and twist the knob on your dumb keyboard, your controller keyboard, and then it'll connect. The iDong works the same way, which is awesome.
This one's from Nick Flegg. What caused problems, and what advice would you give to anyone that wanted to do a similar project? I'd say keep both cars until the one that you want to end up with works 100%. There was a few times, if you can. And if you get a whole car like we did, that makes it a lot easier. Getting bits and pieces from a wrecker might be okay if you've got the perfect recipe, but even now, having done it, there's still things from the recipe I'd be way more comfortable having another car there.
Steve James, who says he's a top fan. Don't know how you become a top fan, but it says he is one. You guys said Subaru were interested. Will they make an MCM edition? Doubtful, but you know what? Here it is. Here's my call out to Subaru. Can we do a special MCM designed edition of one of your cars? Oof. If not, here's a call out. Hey, Volkswagen Australia, Todd Ford. Hey, are you watching? How you doing? Can we do a little Mighty Mods edition of something? Polo GTI, I don't care. Just something that's got like some little mirror caps that have got a chopped finger on it or something. I don't know. Something cool. Martin, are we still going on Facebook?
For a little bit longer. Do you guys daily the bikes or just use them for leisure and or weekend rides? Both, actually.
Yep.
I daily ride bikes. Got a couple of old bikes, new bikes, a couple of e-bikes. I just love that stuff. Really, really into it.
We use them for getting around. To actually, if someone's if we're doing stickers or something like that, actually ride them to go and see them. Use them to commute during work, which is cool. It's a good thing. But
love it.
Yeah, bikes are rad.
There's so many. I'm going to get
cost
to the
to build approximately. I think we worked out as 50.
Something like that. Levorg 29, crashed STI 12 and a bit plus some fees and then some parts. But in terms of just swapping them stock for stock, if you have the Levorg and the STI, you don't really need much else.
Your time,
just the time, and obviously a hoist made this so much easier.
Rooftop box, T37s, things like that. Those things add, but they don't really kind of equate to what I think would be a fair cost for the build. But
they would also
50.
fit a stock Levorg. So the biggest power up and the cheapest power up is just getting that car, and you could potentially do it with a WRX as well if you just wanted a manual swap and not go to EJ, which is what we didn't do, but you could look at doing. I just don't know exactly how.
That question was from Igor Prahan. John McGarity, g'day John, says, Levorg poster please to fit in with the others on my wall. Possibly.
Love
there might
to.
be a photo poster of it for now.
Yeah.
And if it lasts the test of time and can defeat other things that may be incoming, then there'll be a poster. But for now, Super Grant's poster of what
Does
we've
the
got.
eyesight system still work? The car works completely as a 2018 STI. Anything the STI's got, brakes, whatever it's got, that's what's in this car. So I think of it less as a Levorg and more as an STI with a boot on the back of it.
Is it for sale? Nope.
Nah, it's
not
awesome.
yet, unless we race for pink slips, and then I will sell it immediately.
Would you do a Golf versus a Grovel?
Oh, do we
Question
need
for
to?
you.
Do you know what? The reason that I don't want to do that is because I think, in all seriousness, you don't want to see a big build happen and then just see that get thrashed by a stock car. Like, it's kind of a shitty story, you know? It's just, you just go buy a Golf GTI off the internet and just be... That would smoke a Golf GTI now, wouldn't it? It would. I mean, we're talking 200 and something kilowatts versus 120 or something.
Yeah,
like,
but maybe a tuned Golf.
A tuned Golf R.
Yeah,
That would
always
be interesting.
very impressive.
I had a look today at the old video of the Evo versus stock Golf R. Really close battle. Yeah.
An Evo 9.
Yeah.
But didn't they have heaps of power as well, like 200 and something kilowatts?
Yeah, maybe. But here's the difference, and here's the thing that I think we're going to find out and that you'll see as well. This here, maybe it makes less power, not maybe it does make less power than Super Gramps. Just take it to a track and thrash it all day. Super Gramps is going to need a rest. It's going to need a water break.
Yeah,
you know?
probably. So I'm going on to Instagram now. We've got Instagram.
Oh,
you can
Instagram,
follow.
Martin.
There's a 500 and something thousand people on there.
Can I just answer one more? Sorry,
Yeah,
because
please.
this is an important one.
I missed that one.
Sam Robinson. Is this Levorg to replace Super Gramps? I would say right now, I'm going to answer for you, but correct me if I'm wrong. I would say right now, absolutely not. They each exist in their own little worlds, but they're kind of like those, what are those?
Venn diagrams.
Venn diagrams like this, where there's some crossover in the middle. Once that crossover becomes too big, then you probably don't need both. But I reckon what will decide which one stays and which one doesn't is really the performance, because we're talking about once this has got kind of some basic mods on it, it becomes a really good daily. It's gone over that hump now, and we're kind of doing track stuff and doing whatever, and then if and when it gets more, like it's getting more power, isn't it? Then sometimes as the power increases, the proportionate use of its dailiness can go down. So then it might change.
Yeah.
And it's also super recognisable now, which is good and bad, depending on what you're doing with it.
That's very true. So I'm onto Instagram. When are you selling those chopped centre caps? So I made some centre caps for it. We're actually going to put a little video on MCM TV too that explains how it's done, because it's kind of a cool thing, and it's a good thing if you're just getting into making with some basic 3D design software and a 3D printer. The ones that are on there now are just colour matched out of a spray can, so it's not the perfect match for the rims, but I'm pretty happy with how they turned out, considering the centre caps to buy for T37 Sagas that I could find were over $100 each. And they do get flogged, unfortunately. So I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to use 18 cents of plastic and a bit of time and creativity. My friend Miles, who's really good at 3D printing stuff, helped me make them. So are we going to make them for lots of cars? I don't think so. But hey, who knows? Watch this space.
Someone's asking us about will you make number plate covers? And I guess that's the other tricky thing. There's so many different configurations of number plates and sizes. It would be hard to do a thing. I would
be
like
kind of cool though.
Differences.
And another question I've seen a lot of: are you taking care of the chrome trims on the boot and the doors? I hadn't really noticed it. It didn't really pop out to me.
Oh my God.
I know a lot of people, other people had. I was too busy looking at the engine bay. But the chrome, yes, I'm going to just vinyl wrap it out, because if you start pulling those trims off, often they don't go back on very well.
You know what some people do is they tint them, so that they kind of look dark, but they've still got a bit of chrominess to it.
So I'm just going to use some vinyl, and yes, it's booked in. I'm going to get that done, 100%. What are we saying?
I'm going to check for YouTube while you're doing that, Martin.
Sure. Are there any other exterior mods you want to do to the car? I'm pretty happy with the exterior of how it looks with the wheels and also the lip, which we had to mix and match from both Levorg and the front thing. But I had already the second we started this build, because I know this stuff takes a long time, ordered something a little bit special that you can only get in Japan that's custom made for Levorgs, and that should arrive sometime in the next month or two. So we'll probably finish this off, as in get it done at its current stage. If and when you do see it again, that's when we might start seeing some mods like that.
Here's a good one, Martin, from Alan Warwick. He says, great build. Having the balls to tackle that sort of project says a lot about how far you've come. I would have been eating the sock with Moog. Which is true, because I said if he actually got it working, I would eat a sock. All right, what have we got? Are we going to see this in a race with Super Gramps, perhaps? Yep, I think something like that's going to be happening. Needs an STI badge on the rear, says Blackie.
It does.
So it doesn't compare to the aggressive front.
Interestingly,
so is that something happening?
Interestingly, this is a little story you may not know. I didn't actually know, when we started looking for crashed STIs and stuff, we weren't sure that the one that you found was actually an STI at all.
Yeah, well, it didn't have a badge on it.
It had no badge. And so we sort of went, oh, okay, there's an STI, that's great. And then oh, wait, what if it's actually a WRX and we've paid too much?
Yeah, I know, I remember.
That'd be terrible.
Jay Holm, will you ever present the car to Subaru as a vehicular petition of sorts?
It's already been done.
I think the views on the videos, each time you watch the video, that's kind of like a signature on a petition, isn't it?
That's
really?
very true. How much do Shannon thinks this car should be insured for? I haven't got a number. I spoke to him on the phone when we finished it, when we got it off laid up cover, and just explained what was there, but I didn't talk about an actual number. It comes down to both market value, but also agreed value. So if you are doing something like that, then you can say, look, it cost me X. We know it costs roughly 50 grand to do the whole car. So if you were going to do it again, you'd need 50 grand, but that changes as the market changes. And
also things are changing. Like that's the thing when you speak to Shannon's. Yes, they're a sponsor, so I'll put that out there right now so it's clear. They don't have anything to do with this video that we're on right now. But when you ring them, they actually know what they're talking about. We got T37. Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, how much are they? 2-3 grand. Oh, they know. You've got a what? Oh, special wheels. Special wheel, which is what you sometimes get. They know what they're talking about, which is really good. So
From
give them a call.
Hola S. Franklin, how difficult was getting around the CAN bus? I'm assuming the whole loom-ECU swap helped. Yes, exactly what you saw in episode 3 of swapping the dash basically fixes that. This car thinks it's an STI, with the exception of some of the rear tail lights and bits and pieces that are still Levorg, but we only kept them because the wiring was the same.
This one here is from Carrick. I can answer this generally, then Marty can answer it in more detail. Serious question, how do you decide what size wheels to get and you know what will fit? As the famous meme goes from earlier this year, you Google it, there are so many recipes, particularly, you've got a WRX, there are thousands of forums, and in fact, like on some of the groups that I'm part of, that are like golf groups and WRX groups, they have like once a week wheel posts where they go, it's Wheel Wednesday, post your specs up, and everybody, it'll just be 400 or 500 photos of cars, the same as yours, with the wheels and the tyres and the specs, so you know. Normally it's within, I think, so people on Golfs might have 225, 235. Some people go, you can get 245 as long as you do a mod, so you can start working that out. In terms of this, before it was running at stock wheels. It was running stock STI
19s,
wheels.
but they're 19 this way, but they're a little bit narrower that way, 7.5 or 8 inch, or maybe 8.5, but they're smaller than what's on now. It's worth also saying you can buy wheels secondhand off the internet marketplace, get lucky. Obviously ask the person who's selling the wheels, what car was it on? That might help you. If not, and you're going to buy new, I had to because I couldn't find anything that would fit this secondhand. I spoke to Aaron at Import Monster, who we've known for a decade now, and he's really good at that stuff because he does it every day. So you can talk to the experts that know and say, I've got this car, what size would you recommend? And a rough guidance from him really helped me dial in the tyre size because I wasn't really sure. If you get too greedy with your tyre width, you're going to start scrubbing on stuff. If you go for mad stancy offset, then you're going to have problems with rubbing. And if you go too wide or not enough offset, then you can potentially not clear brakes, which is the trick with this, which is why I played it safe with something like TEs or CE28s, which are known to fit and clear big brake cars, which this is.
Martin, I got 4 quick fire questions for you already. Foul play SRT. That seems like a grot username, foul play. SRT is like a Jeep thing,
It was like a Dodge thing, isn't it?
Is it? Sorry, did I just say the wrong thing?
I don't know. No, it could be. I probably did.
Don't Jeep make some big thing?
Don't Dodge and Jeep and Chrysler are all the same.
Are they?
Oh!
Are they the same?
No, I don't know.
Canada and America is different though.
Yeah, very.
They proper. Australia and Tasmania.
No.
We've got, anyway.
New Zealand and Queensland.
Foul play SRT. Would Marty rather drive the Levorg or the original Liberty build that got destroyed by rain?
Ooh, that Liberty was the most brutal thing I've ever owned because it was so much lighter than the Super Grams. It was not as good a car, but it was light and had tons of power.
Hunter Lee, what do you like driving more, the Levorg or Super Gramps? You'll find out on the next episode on Mighty Car
Coming out
Mods.
soon, a couple of days.
Jitty 24/7 says, do a Tribeca next. Not a lot of love out there. There's not a lot of love for a reason.
Do you know why?
And do you know why? He's already done it.
I've owned
He's
one.
already did it.
I've owned one.
He bought one and did it. Where's the video? Yeah, exactly. You're not seeing that. And Martin, Fish Skin Ho 10 says, will you ever consider selling it?
One day maybe. I don't know when it's finished.
E-Ban, will it become the first Levorg Ute?
No.
Is Andrew Knott says, is this your favourite car in the MCM garage?
Mad Viper. Bit by bit wiring explanation for the FA16 to EJ25 conversion, please. Swap it all. Swap it all. Look at the wiring colours, check if they're different, swap it all. Get a crash car if you're going to do it. That's all I'm going to say. There's no set by instructions of pin 27 on plug 53. It's literally not necessary. You'll be able to see it in front of you. Don't be scared, you'll be able to do it.
Oslos, was it worth the money and the time? Yeah, I would say absolutely.
Yep.
Is it Super Gramps replacement? No. A lot of these questions are going around and around. I've scrolled through all of my news.
Yeah.
Martin, it's time for TikTok.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
It's time to jump over to
that only just
the
went
thing.
up,
We
so
only just posted that, so there might
see.
only be 1 or 2 questions there.
No, there's a couple. There's 22.
Here's
It's
the
pretty
funny
good.
thing about TikTok. We started seeing some things up there. Sometimes when we do a burnout in a car, it'll say this is a dangerous activity and it gets like 700 views.
Yeah.
And then there'll be just Marty coming out of a shopping centre in his little truck just dosing and it'll get millions of views. TikTok's weird. Anyone else find it weird? A little
Different.
bit.
Only thing is it goes this way.
All right, Martin, what do we got on TikTok?
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Has it stolen your heart like Supergrams? I don't know if it's stolen my heart, but I really like this thing. It's got a lot going for it. Watch this space.
Has it stolen my heart?
Let's see. Do you imagine Levorg as the name of a transformer like I do, says Sarah Bilukri. My buddy, this is from King Hauler. My buddy has an Outback. Do you think a similar swap would be possible? We don't have Levorg in the States. Yeah, I reckon if you go to Outback and you find like a Turbo Liberty or Legacy, which is the same platform, it's all about the platform. If it's built on the same platform, it will most likely, if it's a Subaru, work. Yep, for sure.
And if they've engineered them on the same platform, then that makes it even easier when it comes to the actual legality of it.
Would you pretty much call that a new Spec B? Comes with a 6-speed and WX engine. Yes, so pretty much Levorg replaced Legacy. So Legacy stopped being made after Gen 6, and then they started making this or around the same time. But actually, they're a similar size. I thought that was smaller.
Yeah, we did as well. But actually, we go into a little bit more detail about that in the next
video.
episode on Mighty Car
Alex Mann, what sparked the initial build? I've been wanting to do this for about 3 years.
Yeah.
In sort of a wish list of like, oh, wouldn't it be great? When I started seeing Levorgs getting around and seeing the weird name, I'm like, I wonder. And it was in the back of my head. It is. How hard is it to swap to do yourself? By yourself? Very difficult. With a mate, heaps easier.
With
a
5
hoist,
mates, even easier.
Yeah, with a hoist, even better. What are your plans for Levorg? You'll see. When will be the Levorg versus Supergrams? You'll see. How does it compare? Yeah, cool. Same colours. And it's a fair question as well.
All of the comparison questions, because I know there are lots of those that I skipped, the comparison of like what's it like inside, what's that will all be covered in the video that is coming out on the main channel. So there was a bunch of things that like, what's the technology like? What's the sitting position like? What's it like driving on the track? What's it like driving on the street? All those kinds of questions. We hope to address those and next. I've got a question from Moog. What's happening next? What happens after the Levorg? I'm asking the question.
You're asking me?
I'm asking us.
What do you mean?
I asked a question.
Go, answer it then.
What? The Levorg is just going to be driven for a little while.
Yeah, it is.
And while it's been driven around, there's going to be something else coming in. There's 2 very exciting things happening this year.
More than 2.
There is. One of them is sitting in a box over here, and the other one is sitting in a very, very big box, because there's 2 things in boxes that Marty and I have never done before. And they came from very interesting places. They both came from across the ocean, but they both came from countries where we have not usually purchased these kinds of things from before. So we're pretty stoked about that. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Are you one of our Unicorn Circuit viewers, by the way? If so, just dump a 38 in the comments, because we'll know you're one of the 38 viewers. If you're just on MCMTV2, a casual little cruising around, say good day, that's fine. Let us know, how your part of the world is going for you. Say good day. I always love seeing like where you're from, jump your country in there or whatever. But if you're one of the 38 viewers, make sure you dump the 38 in there, because the code word for today is 38. Of course, you can check out the Supergramps and signed poster, which
Looks
we're
so
really,
cool.
really proud of.
Just gonna show
how
it
do those
again.
posters get made? It's a Mighty Car Mods fan called Jess Darmy, who we commission these from him. And then we have another artist, Garth, who does the back, and there's a number of people involved getting them here.
Looks so
and then
cool.
we individually sign them, and we send them
Roll them
anywhere and everywhere.
Roll them up, tube them
in the
up, bag
world.
them up, and send them to you. It's pretty special seeing Supergramps on there, and as we said before, it's the cars that are special. There's a question there about which ones take your heart. Well, it's that, with the exception of the Civic from him. But all the rest are pretty awesome. So there's not going to be a new one every week. Like every little while when something special comes up.
It's rare when they come out. There's a lot of work in them, a lot of time,
Yeah.
and a lot of logistics of just kind of getting them signed and then getting them out to you, because when we do sell these, they do end up going all over the world. But what we like the most is when we see the orders come from you, because most importantly, it directly supports our show. We don't do like a Patreon or anything, but if you grab a poster, it does support us. But we like you to get them before the scalpers get them, because they do end up being worth, we've seen them going for hundreds of dollars. Some Mighty Car Mods merch we've seen going for thousands of dollars. And so we like that you can get these for, depending on your currency, $30, $40, depending on where you're from.
If you want to get one, grab one now. It's limited time only. They'll be up for a little while, and then they will be gone.
They'll be announced to the
others.
masses next week.
Yes,
So
but
to
no one else is
everyone
going to know about it except for you for now. Thank you for watching. Thanks for supporting us in the show. We're having a good time. We've got some very exciting there's so many awesome projects on the boil. My head's swimming with them, but I'm very, very having a lot of fun doing it. So I hope you are having a lot of fun watching and following along. And having an
some
awesome
old
day.
cars are coming back. Some new cars are coming in. Some favourites.
Yep. And there's a
being farewelled.
There's a pile of stuff that's just growing for the Gemini, and I've booked a time and date to start in the bodywork, which is a big job with a car that old. So it's very. I want to do it. I want to do it really well, but it's all happening. There's stuff starting to pile up. There's an engine up there for it, which is
We've got an automotive icon that we've been working on for over a year, and those ones are a little bit tricky. But the reason that we got this Super Garage space is that it's fun doing the kind of the quick stuff that we do in Mighty Car Mods, but we wanted to do some bigger kind of projects that would take longer,
like that.
And we have kicked some of those off, and it's been really hard not being able to share the stuff on social, or when we've normally got it kind of 1 or 2 videos coming out every single week. Sometimes you might see that there might be nothing for a week or 2. It doesn't mean that we're sitting in the Bahamas. It means that we are punching out some big stuff that's coming out soon. So you'll see that. Thank you very much. That's MCM TV2, and see you next time, everybody. Bye, bye, bye.